So I want to talk about shadow people and some of my experience that I've had with this. There's a lot of different experiences that are very different, and so it's a whole list of different experiences, and these lists of different experiences other people have had matching, experiences to the many experiences that I had. So people have, to me, it's like confirmation. Because even whenever you experience anything very strange, even your individuals have a difficult time of making, sense of it and even believing it. It's very easy to dismiss something that just doesn't fit into your paradigm of what should be. And regardless of the evidence, it's very easy to just go, I don't know, and just completely not. And I guarantee this, probably the majority of paranormal things is not spoken of. Most people who probably experience paranormal probably don't even talk about it. They even probably willfully forget about it because it's a lot of times it's very disturbing. But here's an example of something that had happened. I was digging out this little fire pit, and we were going to get together and have a little fire with a bunch of people. And it was about twilight, and I saw something coming down the trail, and it hid behind a tree. At first I thought it was a friend of mine. And then I go to the side to see what it is, and it hides behind a tree again. And I thought, it was a dog or something maybe. Because, first I thought it was a person hunched down a little bit. And then I'm like, well, no, it's not a person. It's maybe a dog or something. I couldn't really see it. Just saw, black shadow. And then it hid behind the tree again. And I'm like, well, that's not a dog. It wouldn't hide twice like that. It creeped me the hell out. And then I just ran. I just left. The way I had to go would be past it, but I decided to cut to the side off the trail, and I just made this big winding arc around it and got out of there. It just creeped me out, and I just, that's the first experience I had with the shadow person. What it was, I don't know. It could have been just, twilight shadows and a little bit of paranoia that very simply could be what it was. But I've seen so many other shadow people experiences that the one stands out the most was I was in this little abandoned lot place that I cleared out. It was all garbage. I cleared it out and I put a little garden in there. And it would be a place that I'd go and I'd drink beers and stuff. It's right in the city. So it's a pretty, used to be just a abandoned, weeded lot. And then it kind of became a cool little garden I made with little trails and all kinds of nice plants. So it was a chill spot for me to hang out. And I was there and I was ranting about being censored. I was so upset. I was like, and really the censorship is by the content creator himself. So he's making his little points and this and that. And I say something that doesn't fit with his political, religious paradigm. And because he's corrupt, he censors. And it's so, that's what kills humanity. That's what defends the evil in the world. When you're, hey, I like my political, religious point of view, and I don't tolerate anything separate from that. And you point out why it's not good. That there's some things hey, here's the scripture. I'm not using scripture. And these people who censor, they're so evil that they'll always just slanderously say, "You're an antichrist. You hate Jesus." No, if I was an antichrist and I hated Jesus, I wouldn't be using scripture, okay? If I was a worthless servant of Belial, I wouldn't be rebuking the evil, okay? That's what it is. That's what these people do. They just go along to get along, and this guy is very wealthy, he's very praised, and very corrupt, very criminal in what he's like. But anyway, that's aside from the fact. I'm sitting there ranting about, venting about the frustration of dealing with these censors. It's whatever. And there was a guy who was passed out, probably sleeping in the bushes and behind this pile of lumber that was piled up. That's probably what it was. And if he was a person at all, but it was a humanoid, and he got up and he was rah, he was angry that he had to hear this ranting. It was about 10 o'clock in the evening. And so I saw him briefly get up and run, and he's kind of behind a hill, and I could just see the top part of him, and it's all bushes too, so I didn't have a clear sight to him. But there was another shadow entity that went the opposite direction, and that caught my eye because that's coming closer to the proximity of where I am. And I first thought it was a skunk or a raccoon or something, and then I noticed that it was actually like a black maybe oval-shaped mass that was actually kind of like floating over the ground. It wasn't, on the ground, but it was making noise when it went through the brush. It was just subtle, and I was like, "Wow, that's scary." And then I look back to the first guy because I don't really get a good look. I don't want it to come around and get me from the other side. And then I look back to the first thing, and I saw it make another noise through another brush. I don't remember the exact sequence of things, but it definitely was making noise as it moved through the brush. And I check in the first guy again, and then back to the other guy, and then I saw this like silhouette of a black person, okay, a black shadow person, about like 7 feet tall, like because it wasn't standing completely straight up. It was like kind of crouched over, but I would say about 7 foot tall would be the size, on a pile of lumber, not the one that the guy was hiding behind initially or sleeping behind, a different pile of lumber of a similar sort. It was standing on it, and it actually looked like Hat Man. That's a special detail, that it had a freaking, like that Hat Man, head. It had Hat Man. It was Hat Man. That's what it was. That's what I'm saying. It's a very strange thing that Hat Man's actually quite a recognized shadow person, silhouette. It's quite different to have Hat Man, and then I look at the first guy, he's gone, and I'm scared. I look back at the shadow, and it's gone, and it just completely creeped me out. I'm like, what the heck, It's the fact of the matter that, like there's cars that go by the area and they're casting light and shadows, sure, and I'm trying to tell myself that's what happened. That's what just happened, Someone just got up and ran, and it was just a bunch of shadows from the cars going by with light and this, and I'm like, no. As much as I want to believe that, it's not the case. And later, there was the very next day, I investigate that pile of wood where the thing was standing on, and there was some strange stuff about it. Okay, and it's definitely, and I conclude, it's definitely not a natural pile of wood. I call it, it's a metaphoric jumble of stuff. That's what it is. And I left it be for months, and then eventually I excavated it, which I found very strange things about it. But this is probably one of the most significant shadow people encounters. And another encounter was in the same area. This is right after Donald Trump had gotten elected the first time, or nominated, but I'm not even sure. But I think he's already elected at this point. But there was like the silhouette of like maybe 200 shadow people. And these are not the only 2 stories I had, or 3 stories of shadow people. So I have like a whole list of others. So the fact that there's like these shadow people standing all surrounding me, like in this area, completely just standing silently, looking at me, pointed at me, and like upset with me. They're upset with what I had done in the timeline. That's what's going on. And then later, maybe like a month or maybe months after that, there was thousands. There was like maybe, I would say 2,000 or more, because it's, when you're in a small area with, how can you count 2,000? I don't know, but there was much more. It was the same thing, but more, many more. And what it is like a translucent silhouette of people that's somewhat shadow, but it's translucent. So like 1,000, like 2,000, and they're all like, I could feel like they're like disdain with what I was doing in the timeline. So this is my experience with shadow people. And then there's quite a list of other things. Like other things like if you see a mouse that like scurries really fast, you'll see that it's really fast, and it's hard to catch a mouse scurrying. They're actually pretty quick, and you can just see them. They just kind of if you have like mice in the kitchen or something. But when you have shadow mice, that's another story. See, like, shadow mice are doing things that a mouse couldn't do. They can't squeeze through a little pinhole, but a shadow mice can. And that's what I've seen, like, shadow, and it's not just like one shadow mice, you've got a whole bunch of shadow mice. So think about that, and think about other people have stories about shadow people. That's what it's going, you see there's like blobs of shadow moving around. And I will even say that it's kind of like shadow mice and other animal forms in the shadow form, that they move and it's a shadow of another animal. Like, that's what I even when I was seeing that blob, I think that's what it did. It took an animal form first, and then it kind of transformed into this like floating glob, and it transformed into the silhouette of a person. That's what I would say happened. But because I have seen other shadow-shaped animal people, translucent shadow animal people, is there's quite a lot of lists of different experience. Even like his experience, like the whole area is just hazed out. And I read a story about that. Like it's like a, you know, there was like this little parasite grub thing in the area or something, but its effect on in the light of day, there was a dimness in the surrounding area. And I've seen that before. And I just looking at it and couldn't explain it. I'm like, dude, it's not just the lighting, it's not just my imagination, it's not the trees. There's like a dimness of light here. So that para-dimensional interference or that's something that's quite, I think, significant. And again, other people have similar stories in accountings of that. So I'm just going to point out some of the accountings that I've had just to illustrate what it is that we're dealing with. And I think I have many other perspectives to add upon that I think are informative as to the situation, as to what it is. Because I think that there is like 4 manifestations on the earth where spirits dwell. You know, people should understand, like, there's more to say about it.